Good day, viewers, and welcome to another OnSide SA soccer show. Paul is unfortunately unavailable this morning, and joining me from his Fulham studio in the UK is our regular correspondent, Stevie Braham. But we kick off as always with our post-net last one standing competition. And heading into round 3, we had 421 guys going through. Of that, 189 were successful and 232 went out. The guys that were successful, 99 were on Chelsea, 54 on Everton, 15 on Liverpool, 14 on Notts Forest, 2 each on Crystal Palace, Southampton and Wolves, and 1 brave person on Tottenham. The unfortunate guys that went out were 111 on Newcastle, 47 on Man United, 32 on Aston Villa, 29 on Ipswich Town, 11 on Brentford, and 1 each on Brighton and Man City. Last week we mentioned the ladies that participated. This time I'm going to go through the internationals that are still in, and there are 24 of them. Starting with Mr. Perfect, Ashley Rushton, Brendan Smith, Greg Badenhorst, Eric Narak, Stevie Braham, Chris Aboud, Steve Potter, Roger Scott, Phil Weston, Derek Ramsey, Ken Moby, Phil Giles, Ross Marinkovitz, Ian Service, Colin Young, Justin Gregg, John Dand, Craig Lovett, Raina Link, Jason Dunbar, Steve Griffiths, Brendan Miller, Walter Luty, and Luca Link. Well done, guys. Now, the pick of the round, it's always made on the person that was on the best odds, and that was Southampton. We had 2 people on Southampton, namely Montana Verners and Shane Cliff. The runners-up were all similar price of the 22 to 10 range. There's quite a few of them. There were 2 guys on Crystal Palace, Ernie Wallace and Hassan Mall. 2 on Wolves, Tennille Verners and Chris Cerrito. And Chanel Mudley was brilliant with her Tottenham Hotspur pick. Guys, thank you for coming through on time for round 3. There are no picks this weekend, so you've got a week to mull over, but the following weekend we start again. Steve, you stayed in.
I did, yeah.
Chelsea.
When West Ham took the lead, I was thinking, I jinxed it. So, live to fight another week.
Another week. Well done. Steve, a couple of big games. None other tonight. Newcastle 2, Arsenal 0 from the first leg. Can Arsenal overturn the deficit?
I think it will be close. I think they could win this, Arsenal, but whether they make up the 2-goal deficit, if you look at the way Newcastle have played at home the last couple of games and the way Arsenal played against Man City in the second half, they are capable. But I just wonder whether, with such a huge, passionate crowd behind them, Newcastle, they'll up their game, and they may not win. They might just sneak through on by the odd goal, but I think it's going to be a pretty exciting game. Yeah. Arsenal are definitely in with a chance still.
Yeah, for me, if I was going to have a bet, I'd back Arsenal to score first. Then we will see what they're made of. Steve, I just wonder whether their mind on Saturday against Fulham was on this game. It's a massive game, but I get worried. 2-0 is a fatal scoreline. You concede one, people get the jitters, and with 50-odd thousand Geordies there, I'd like to see Newcastle go through, seeing they back them to win it. But I don't think this is cut and dried. Tottenham go to Anfield tomorrow night. That's Thursday, with a 1-0 lead. Can you see them holding on?
I think they're going to have to really play out of their skins. I would assume that Arne Slot will play his strongest available team, because at the weekend they've got a relatively straightforward game in the FA Cup, and he can rotate then. So I think Tottenham are going to have to really dig deep to come through this. But you never know. Look, they've got the slender lead, but you just think Liverpool up. If they score first, I think they'll still go through. Yeah,
it's just hope for Paul's sake that Spurs do go through, but was a betting man and have to be on Liverpool. Anyway, on to the FA Cup, Steve, and Friday night. Man United, another calamity show at Old Trafford on the weekend. Surely they've got to beat Leicester.
Well, I mean, Leicester are the team that they have beaten. They beat them in the league. They beat them in the League Cup.
Yeah.
So they've certainly got the Indian sign over them, and I think that this is an opportunity if they play their strongest team against Leicester, and it makes you wonder whether or not Leicester may or may not rotate a little bit. Yeah. Because the league is obviously going to be their priority. I would imagine whatever team that they put out, United should just about be too strong.
Yeah, I've got to think so. I think he's under pressure. My mates were at the game. They started to moan. I don't think he knows what he's doing. I've said that for a couple of weeks now. He's got rid of Rashford. He's got rid of Anthony. Playing Amad Diallo as a number 9. What the hell is going on? But I don't know. It's a shambles. We signed a left back from Lecce. If he was that good, one of the one of the Milan sides would have bought him. So it's panic stations, no money. I just don't know what's going on. And if we don't win the Europa League, I don't think you'll see United for the next few years. But anyway, let's hope we get through. Second game, Steve. For me, it's a big game. Millwall Leeds, we all know the violence in the 70s. These were two of the mad groups. I think this is going to be a closer game for the simple reason Leeds play tonight, and their mind is obviously on coming straight back up.
Yeah, look, I mean, again, it's quite possible that they will rotate, but they've got a reasonably strong squad, Leeds. Yeah. And at home, they are strong. I think this is where Leeds have got an advantage. Millwall have brought in 1 or 2 new players, whether or not they're able to blood them, but and they're pretty inconsistent. They had a good win last weekend, Millwall. I think Leeds will be too strong, and but I would be surprised if he rotated sort of wholly. But I think you're right. They're normally close games between these teams, but I think Leeds will go through. But I think it will be a feisty game.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm going both teams have scored 13-10. Leeds, you just don't know where their mind is, but my money's on Millwall scoring, and I think this could be quite a high-scoring game. Leyton Orient, Man City, after the debacle at the Emirates on Sunday, will he play his best side? Because I think Tuesday night they got Real Madrid in the Champions League.
Yeah, no, he'll certainly rotate. I mean, and he can afford to. I mean, although Leyton Orient are having a very good season themselves in League One, I think that he will rotate and he'll play. I suspect he may play one or two. He'll play the new players certainly who give him a game. I think whatever team he puts out, I'd be amazed if they don't win. Quite possible that Leyton Orient might score. I think they'll have a go. They've got nothing to lose.
That was going to be my question. Yeah.
The one thing that City aren't doing at the moment is keeping clean sheets very well. Yeah. So, look, I think City to win, but I think that he will be saving his big guns for the Real Madrid game.
Yeah, City to win, both teams to score 17-10, so that's worth considering. The next game, Steve, Coventry-Ipswich. Is this the upset of the round?
Yeah, I've just got a feeling. I mean, obviously you've got a new manager there with Frank, but you think how close they came for that huge upset last year in the FA Cup. Had a great run. Ipswich, I wonder whether or not McKenna might decide to rotate on the basis that Premier League survival is their priority. Yeah. I think if Coventry play their strongest side, Ipswich I think might rotate. I've got a feeling that this could be a bit of a surprise. Although it wouldn't necessarily be a surprise because I think Coventry, showed what they can do in the Cup. So for me, I'm going for a home win.
Yeah, I've got to say I fancy Coventry as well. You just don't know with Ipswich. I think there'll be goals in this. There are 2 bets that I like. Coventry City to qualify was even money, but I think they're going to have to score more than 1 goal to win Coventry. So 14-10, Coventry to score over 1.5 goals is my suggestion. Next game should be a cracker. Everton-Bournemouth. Steve, which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I think it will be, and I hope that both teams play a strong side. There's no reason not to. Everton have really hauled themselves out away from that bottom 3 and have played some good football, winning games. I think if he plays a strong team, I think for me, Everton will start as favourites at home.
Yeah, Steve, this is my team to win the Cup. We'll get to the final at 16-1 Bournemouth. I was watching at the totes, and the other game was Newcastle-Fulham. It's only when we split the channels did we see Bournemouth-Liverpool. They gave as good as they got. If the guy hit the post, that goes in. There could have been an upset. I think this is a team for the Cup. I like what I see. They're 7th in the league. They have to have, I'm hoping they have a go, Steve. You know, they're my value bet of the weekend, 16-10. As I said, I backed them to get to the final. And they're 8.5 to 10, hopefully 9 to 10 to qualify for the 5th round. I'm chancing Bournemouth. I know Everton at Goodison. I've been at Goodison. When those Scousers get behind their team, it's going to be a raucous atmosphere. But I like what I see with Bournemouth. And with them having no game in the midweek, Everton do play Liverpool. That's my only concern, whether David Moyes will play 1 or 2 players. But I think this is going to be a cracker. But I'm siding with Bournemouth. On to our second page, and we've got my boys Preston against Wickham. 12 to 10 Preston, Steve.
Yeah, I think those are good odds. For me, I mean, Wickham are having a great season, but I just wonder whether or not he might even rotate 1 or 2 because promotion is their priority. And I think this is a great opportunity for your Preston boys to go through to the 5th round. So for me, I'm home win all the way there. Yeah,
12 to 10, I contemplated. I think Wickham will score because they've been scoring. So I went Preston to score over 1.5 goals at 12 to 10, but. And my boys, we knocked Fulham out to the Cup and the League Cup. Sorry, Steve, got to mention it seeing I was there. But I think we can get through 12 to 10. I think it's a decent price. But I sat on the fence and went Preston to score over 1.5 goals at the same price. Steve, Southampton, Burnley. I make Southampton certainties. Do you agree?
Well, I wonder whether or not on the back of that win last week, he wants to play his strongest side just to give them a bit of confidence. There's no point in sort of rotating and just saying, we'll concentrate on the league because they've got a lot to do. It depends, Scott Parker. I mean, look, Burnley don't concede goals.
Yeah.
I mean, is it 9 goals they've conceded all season in the league? I mean, it's an incredible record. I think it's going to depend here on who rotates. You know, and obviously if Burnley rotate, then I think Southampton will be too strong. I think there will be goals in this game only because it's a sort of one-off and there's no reason not to. So I think Southampton, for me, if they play their strongest side, might just have the edge.
Yeah, I'm all over them. Simple reason, Burnley won last night, the Cup, they're second. They've got Hull City on Wednesday night. That's a far bigger game than playing Southampton. Also in the last round, I went against them. I thought Reading could upset them. It went to extra time before Burnley went through. He's going to do the same again, Steve. He's going to make 6 or 7 changes. Yeah. Southampton, after that performance against Man United and also against Notts Forest, Newcastle, they've improved big time, and I think 9 to 10 is a gift. Unfortunately, you're going to have to wait to see if he does play his strongest team, but he's got nothing else to play for, Steve. So, they're going to go down, barring a miracle. So why not have a full dip at the Cup and keep the fans excited? So for me, I'm all over Southampton. I think they're good things. The next game, Steve, I don't know which way to look at it. 2 teams that I think the draw's nailed on here, except they may both have a go because they're struggling in the league and they may just open the taps up and try and score goals here. How do you see it going now?
Which one are we looking at?
Stoke versus Cardiff City. Apologies.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it'll be a close game. I've got a feeling Stoke had a good result last week, and I just wonder whether or not Mark Robbins has just got them sort of going a little bit. For me, I think it will be close. I suspect there'll be goals, but I think Stoke might just edge it.
Yeah, Cardiff got beat last week, but I looked at even money, both teams to score. This is a game that I doubted. I think Mark Robbins, with his history at Man United, saving Fergie's job, with the run he had, and they got a good result in the Cup last round, and I think he's going to fancy another good Cup run. So of the 2 teams, I like Stoke, but Cardiff won't go down without a fight. Talking of fight, Steve, surely Fulham have got to beat Wigan Athletic?
Well, look, there's no question. I think that we will rotate.
Yeah.
He's going to want to use a few of his squad players. When we did that at Preston, it sort of backfired a little bit. Wigan have got nothing to lose. They're not going anywhere in the league, really.
Yeah.
So I think they'll play their strongest side. Be a reasonable crowd. I think it's a game that we'll win, but I don't think it will be pretty. If we win by 1 or 1, maybe 2 at the most.
Yeah, I've been to that DW stadium. And what it was JJB DW, the pitch, the surface is terrible, Steve. I still think they play rugby league there. So if there's a couple of games on that before you play,
they do. Except obviously it's not the rugby league season at the moment. But you're right, they do share the pitch.
Yeah, that pitch is woeful. So that could be a leveler, but 1 to 4 Fulham I wouldn't take. But you got to fancy that you'll go through. The next game, Birmingham City are flying high. in League One against a Newcastle team who've got Arsenal tonight, and they may, if they get through, I don't know. I just think there'll be a few goals in this game, Steve.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if Birmingham play their strongest side, it's a sellout crowd. It's sort of 30-odd thousand there. I think you're right. Newcastle have got to concentrate on their match against Arsenal, and then once they, depending on what happens, they can take a view. If they go out, then I think that it's in their interest to make sure they concentrate on the FA Cup, because the fans will demand it. I think it'll be a close game. I think that even though on paper you think Newcastle should be clear favourites, I think Birmingham will give them with the crowd behind them, we'll give them a good game. I fancy Newcastle to get through, whether or not it's in normal time or added time, but I think they'll go through.
Yeah, I always look at these type of games and say, Newcastle, if they get through, they'll still be cruising. Birmingham are going to come out fired up. 21-10, Birmingham to score first is worth an interest, but my suggestion is Newcastle to score over 1.5 goals in the second half. It's like just under 16-10.
Yeah.
I think they're going to come out like they did the last time, take it easy, see how the game is, and then the second half they'll make a few changes and pick it up. So I've got to fancy Newcastle to go through, but that would be my suggestion. Newcastle to score over 1.5 goals in the second half. On to our final page in the Cup. Big game, Brighton-Chelsea, Steve. No love lost between these two.
No, well, look, Brighton, it makes after the way that we're completely swept away by Forest last weekend, you'd think that maybe he's going to want to, play his strongest side, really just to sort of get some confidence back, because they're starting to slip in the league. We will probably rotate a little bit. He won't play the same team, but he'll put out a strong team. I think this will be close. I think if Brighton play their strongest side and Chelsea don't, then you think that it's an opportunity for the home side. But they're struggling at home, Brighton. And Chelsea make themselves hard to beat. I think for me, Chelsea probably will go through, but you just don't know what team either of them are going to play.
Yeah, I think Chelsea will play their best, Steve. They haven't got decent games coming up. And this is a big game for Brighton. This Hertzler that come in, new German wonder boy coach, started off well, but they can't beat the lesser team, especially at home. That 7-0 was devastating. I just think, I'm going to do it's a match bet, Steve. I just think red cards, yellow cards is going to be the order of the day. I remember watching Brighton-Chelsea in the league game, and the Brighton fans were all over Cucurella. The abuse he took was frightening. So I'm going to be waiting for what price he is to get booked. He's normally 5-2 to get booked, so I'm going to have to sit and see which bookmaker plays that. But of the two teams, I do like Chelsea, but I'm going to be doing match bookings in that particular game. Blackburn Wolves, Steve. Bad result for Blackburn last night, losing at QPR. They've got a game in midweek. I thought they were lucky to beat Preston. I thought the 2 penalties, the Blackburn one was harsh. He didn't mean to. I know he did collide. And the second one, he could have taken the easy way out the ref. They deserve to win, Blackburn, but I don't see them beating Wolves, Steve.
No, I think that Wolves will play a relatively strong side. They had a good win last weekend. Obviously, staying up is their priority. But I think that he'll put out a strong enough side, and I think Wolves should have too much for Blackburn on the day. Yeah,
Wolves are all in every one of my bets. I think I saw them beat Bristol City. They came out fired up. Their main player, Kuna, signed a new contract. And why not have a full go? Get through here, get a nice draw until the last 8. You just never know. Plymouth, Liverpool. Can Plymouth score? The reason I've actually backed them to score, Steve, is that Liverpool, I've got Everton on Wednesday, and if ever there's a ground where they're going to take it easy and rest all their big guns, it's surely got to be here.
Yeah, I think there's no question. Look, one would assume Arne Slot will play his strongest side against
Tottenham on Thursday.
He'll rotate. He'll rest players at Plymouth because obviously the league game at Goodison is huge for them. So I think that it's an opportunity, certainly for Plymouth, to score, whether or not they've got enough about them to win.
No,
but I think this is, of the 3 games that have got coming up, Liverpool, this is the one that he will undoubtedly be resting a few of his big names. But then, look, they've got a strong squad, and without injury, he can still put out, it might be that Gapco doesn't start tonight, but he starts at the weekend, for example. I don't think Salah would start at the weekend. So for me, I think Liverpool to go through, but I think it will be closer than the odds show.
Yeah, I just took a chance. I think it was like 14-10 for Plymouth, both teams to score, and obviously that's can they score. Aston Villa, Tottenham. It's a pity I never had Paul in the studio. With Marcus Rashford going to Aston Villa, I think they're going to come out fired up, Steve. I think 9-10 is a good price. At home, they've had a couple of bad results, but also Tottenham.
Right. I mean, on the basis that Tottenham are playing their strongest side
tonight,
tomorrow night, I think that Villa would have had an opportunity to rest. Whether Rashford will start, he'll come off the bench. They've got 1 or 2 other new players. Sensio from PSG is coming in. I think Villa will be fired up. I think Villa should start as favourites. I'd be amazed if Tottenham will probably have the legs after Thursday, and they'll be running around a lot. Given the run around a lot, I suspect, at Anfield. So I think that I'd be really surprised if it isn't a Villa home win. Yeah,
totally agree on your assessment. Then, last but not least, Monday night, Crystal Palace have always been a dangerous cup side. They normally seem to sneak in. They've surely got to beat Doncaster Rovers.
Yeah, you would think so. And away from home, they're very strong, Palace at the moment. So I think he'll put out a strong side. There's no reason not to. They're pretty safe in the league now. So I would think they'll put out a strong side, and I think they'll win by a couple of goals.
Okay, on to the Championship. There were 2 games last night. Burnley 1, Oxford 0, and QPR 2, Blackburn 1. Coventry do play Leeds United tonight, so just bear that in mind. On to the weekend's games, and Sunderland, Watford, early kickoff, Steve. Great chance for Sunderland.
Yeah, you would think so. They had a really good win
at Middlesbrough.
On Monday night at Middlesbrough. Big win, in what is a northeast derby. I think Sunderland win that. They'll give them an opportunity to sort of maybe get closer to the teams at the top. Obviously, Burnley played last night. Leeds are playing. I think that this is a game that Sunderland can't afford to drop points because they want to stay on the coattails of the top 2. So for me, home win all the way.
Yeah, I think Watford will score. So Sunderland to win, both teams to score is 28-10. I sat on the fence. I never catch Sunderland right, so I've just kept it simple. Both teams to score at even money. Steve, Sheffield Wednesday cost us both last weekend. We went for the wrong Sheffield. West Brom, terrible result. They're losing at Plymouth. They're on the outskirts of the promotion places. Do you see them getting back to winning ways?
I think they will. I think it will be close. Sheffield Wednesday themselves were very close to a playoff place. But I think West Brom should be just about too strong for them. Yeah,
hard to trust West Brom. They're my fancy getting the playoffs, but every time I go for them, they let me down. But 11-10 inviting price. Steve, you're all over Norwich City last week. I don't see why you should jump ship. They should be surely too good for Derby.
Yeah, I would think so. Derby are having a dreadful run. Norwich with Josh Sargent back in the team, as we said, just starting to climb. They're not far off the playoffs themselves. So, to me, I think Norwich should be odds on to win that. Yeah,
the 8-10 to win, which is a good price. But Norwich City to win over 2.5 total goals is 18-10. So I've jumped on the bandwagon. I think they're going to score a few goals, Norwich City. Sheffield United, Portsmouth, Steve. Sheffield United closing in on a automatic promotion spot. Surely they've got to beat Portsmouth.
You would think so. I mean, obviously they slipped up at home last time against Hull, came back strong at the weekend. I think that they'll be too strong, and Portsmouth will give them a game. Portsmouth did well. They held Burnley last weekend, but I think Sheffield United at home should just edge it.
Yeah, Steve, last game was Sunday. Bristol City have won their last 4 games at home against the Swansea City team who've lost their last 4 games away from home. I'm always sceptical about lunchtime kickoffs. Do you give Swansea City any chance here?
Look, they do play nice football, and when I sort of think I'm going to back them, in the end I'm pleased I didn't. But I think Bristol City, again, very consistent but strong at home, and I think they'll just be a little bit too strong on the day.
Yeah, of the two, I just went for both teams to score. Swansea are one of those sides that play, Steve says, good football, but so do Bristol City. I think it'll be an entertainment game. Hopefully we've got it on ESPN so I can tape it and watch it later. But I went 11-10, both teams to score. But if you took 9-10 Bristol City, I wouldn't blame you. Steve, pressure time as always. We both failed last week with Sheffield United. Somehow I think we're going to be on the same team here. Who are you going for?
Well, I hope I don't jinx them, but I'm going to go for your Preston as my best bet.
All right.
I just think you'll put a strong team out, and I'm not sure Wickham will. And I just think the division up, I think they'll be too strong. And for me, my value bet, I'm going for Coventry.
Yeah.
I just think that I think there's a good price for a team that I'd like to think will take the cup seriously again and could cause an upset.
Yeah, I agree. Frank Lampard, that's his glory. He loves a cup, and I don't blame him. I'm all over Aston Villa, Steve. I just think Spurs will be running on empty. Aston Villa with the new signings will be fired up. 9-10, I think, is a great price. And I'm siding with Bournemouth. I've got to take a chance with the team I'm going for. I know it'll be difficult, but 16-10, I think that's quite a decent price. And outside of Liverpool, there's not one team in the cup that I'd be scared to go at. And they're a dangerous team. The only concern, is he going to play his best side, which I don't see why he wouldn't. Steve, thanks as always, and we'll speak over the weekend.
Absolutely. Cheers, Budge.
Take care. UK correspondent Stevie Braham. On to the PSL, and I watched the Chiefs Amazulu game last night, and for those Amazulu fans that are crying about their goalkeeper, I don't blame you. Someone said to me earlier, all 4 goals were scored by Amazulu players, and I can't believe he's 100% right. Anyway, on to the games this week, and bear in mind there are 5 games tonight, guys, so unfortunately it's not easy to make predictions, but we kick off Amazulu Maruma Gallants. I've been impressed with what I saw for Amazulu last night. They do look like scoring goals. Maruma Gallants, they got beat 2-1 by Richards Bay last night in Umlazi, and they had 10 men, so I couldn't believe it when I saw that, when I was following the game. So Amazulu for me. Stellenbosch against Chiefs. One thing I would say Friday night, goals, both teams to score will be about 12-10. That would be my suggestion. If ever there's a game that could end up 0-0 this week, is Magesi against Cape Town City. Magesi unfortunately played last night and the game got abandoned or postponed, should I say, because of power outages. The game is restarting at 12 o'clock today, so bear that in mind. Cape Town City, hard to break down. Under 2.5 goals does look like a gift, but it was 11-2 for a 0-0 draw. So if you do like games at a price, which I do, so be it. Sundowns Pirates, great game. I just don't think Sundowns are the same team as they were. Rulani Mokoena, the ex-coach, I know he had a lot to say, but he had that team buzzing. My mate Mongobo Mangiti, he got fired, and I just don't like what I see from Sundowns. I know they're a class side, but I think this game has got draw written all over it. On to our second page of the PSL, and TS Galaxy, always fancy them at home. Always hard to beat, 14-10 to beat Chipper. That's my suggestion. Richards Bay, great result last night, but Polokwane don't get beat in a hurry. 22-10, the draw is my suggestion. And Supersport, they came to Durban the other day, got beat 2-1 by Amazulu. Sekhukhune are going well. 4 wins and 1 defeat in their last game at Polokwane. So if I have to side with one side, it would definitely be Sekhukhune. And Sekhukhune beat them 3-0 in Pretoria a couple of weeks ago. So that would be my suggestion. But a game that will be tight. On to our exotics for the weekend. And the first soccer sick comes up, and I've gone the field in the Celta Vigo, Real Betis, Spanish La Liga game. I think the draw's nailed on, but of the two sides, I fancy Cape Town City. So it's Cape Town City to avoid defeat against Magesi. I've thrown the draw in, Mamelodi Sundowns against Orlando Pirates. I'm chancing Borussia Dortmund, have won the last few games, to be too good for Stuttgart. The field in the Richards Bay Polokwane City game, and I fancy TS Galaxy to beat Chipper United 2-1-6. On to our second soccer six, and I'm going the field in the Coventry City Ipswich Town game, looking for the upset. I don't see Bournemouth losing at Everton. I've thrown the draw with my beloved Preston North End at home against Wycombe Wanderers. I think Southampton are good things to beat Burnley. The field and the Stoke City versus Cardiff City game. And I think Fulham have to outclass Wigan Athletic 2-1-6. On to the soccer 10. I've gone the field and the Celta de Vigo Real Betis game. Cape Town City to avoid defeat against Magezi. Mamelodi Sundowns win and draw at home against Orlando Pirates. The field and the Coventry City versus Ipswich Town fixture. Bournemouth again win and draw against Everton. On to page 2, I'm bankering Preston North End to beat Wycombe Wanderers, Southampton to beat Burnley, Stoke City to beat Cardiff City, Fulham to beat Wigan and Athletic Bilbao to beat Girona, 288. On to the soccer 13, I've gone the field in the Brighton Hove Albion versus Chelsea match, bankering Newcastle United to beat Birmingham City, Bournemouth win and draw at Everton, looking for the upset, Coventry City win and draw at home against Ipswich Town. 3 bankers, Southampton to beat Burnley, Fulham to beat Wigan Athletic, and Preston North End to beat Wycombe Wanderers. On to the second page, I've thrown the draw in with Stoke City at home against Cardiff City. 2 bankers, Norwich City to beat Derby County, and Sheffield United to beat Portsmouth. On the field in the Burton Albion versus Blackpool game, Lincoln City to avoid defeat at home against Cambridge United, and Rotherham United to beat Shrewsbury Town, 288. On to our budgies bets for the weekend. I'm going Southampton to beat Burnley, Wolves to beat Blackburn, Aston Villa to beat Tottenham and over 2.5 total goals, and Bournemouth to qualify in their clash against Everton, 3,400 to 200. My team goal sides, I'm going Coventry City, Preston, Aston Villa and Wolves, all to score over 1.5 goals, which is a minimum of 2, 3,100 to 200. My FA Cup double, and there was a misprint there, I've gone Wolves to beat Blackburn and Bournemouth to win the cup. Outright, it's 12,000 to 200. Both teams to score sides, I'm going Leeds Millwall, Coventry Ipswich Town, Stoke Cardiff City, and Plymouth Liverpool. I had to get one at a price, 3,000 to 200. Onto the championship, I'm going Norwich City to beat Derby County and over 2.5 total goals, and both teams to score. And the Sunderland, Watford and Bristol City Swansea games, 2,200 to 200. And our Collis King, 6 or Nixa, I'm going Aston Villa to beat Tottenham, Wolves to beat Blackburn, Norwich City to beat Derby County, Sheffield United to beat Portsmouth, Napoli to beat Udinese, and Inter Milan to beat Fiorentina, 3,800 to 200. Thank you for watching our show, and please remember to stay on side.